In the words of Dr. Owens, the learning process is a complex journey that is influenced by many external and internal social forces, including racial and cultural diversity, as well as the influence of educators, the community, and their family. An educated populace will strengthen our nation and allow all to fully participate in the social and political realms. As educators, we must believe in the promise and hope of keeping our commitment to all children. Fortunately, I happen to work in a district that seems to be overflowing with faculty, staff, and community members who are extremely generous with their time, talent, and treasure. Louisville Independent School District has 64 campuses who serve over 56,000 students. We have schools in neighborhoods where the average home price is well over $500,000, all the way to neighborhoods where 28 refugees all share one house. It is the latter neighborhood in which I teach. Luckily, the district resources available to the highest socioeconomic class in the district are also available to the lowest socioeconomic class. My current teaching situation is as a science discovery teacher at a Title I school in Louisville. I teach all 860 students in grades kindergarten through 5th, including bilingual and special education. This is my 10th year at this campus, and I'll probably still be here when I look like this. My campus is predominantly Hispanic, 78%, with Burmese Chin refugees 11%, and 4% Black, 4% white. The Chin are a persecuted ethnic minority group. The ruling military junta are Burma. The Chin are 98% Christian, and the Burma military is a violent variant of Buddhism. Chin were seen as threats by the Buddhist ministry. Our refugees have all arrived within the last 5 years and have come to this country on asylum visas to escape ethnic and religious persecution from the dictator of Myanmar. Most have come from refugee camps in Malaysia, where they had very little schooling, sometimes missing 2 to 3 years of their education while in the camps. Even so, with little or no English skills, these students have become very successful through immersion in a close-knit community, both in and outside of the school. Although we are a Title I school, we have been named recognized for the past 3 years, due in no small part to the incredible group of teachers and our great principal, Mr. Crockett, and other administrators who support one another. When I first came to my campus 10 years ago, only 44% of the 5th grade students were passing the TAKS test in science. The last 3 years of TAKS, our scores were over 80%. Since I teach all grades, I am able to work with the same students for 6 years, and this greatly improves both the academic and the affective relationship between the children and me. Our approach is unique in that we have our own case manager for our campus-based communities and schools of North Texas, a social outreach program. It highlights both the successes and challenges in fostering a home-school connection. Positive outcomes have been achieved by our mentorship program, which pairs volunteers, often high school honor students, with individual children on campus who may not have a positive role model in their life. Students are able to bring home much-needed food with our Food for Kids program run by a local church, and school supplies and uniforms are provided by generous donations from community members. In addition, the after-school program called ACE creates a safe and enriching academic environment in which children can receive tutoring, go on field trips, and participate in fun activities to supplement their education. For the parents, CISNT offers computer classes, English language classes, and assistance in obtaining public entitlements, such as food stamps and healthcare. Our biggest problem is parent involvement and communication. With immigrants from so many backgrounds, one big barrier is different standards of living and of understanding U.S. laws and customs. For example, many of our Burmese refugees know nothing about how to cook, how to turn on utilities, or even proper use of bathroom facilities. A bigger problem stems from communication, where multiple languages and dialects are spoken by our parents, and no translator is available to bridge the gap between parents and school. Even with these challenges that face these children, they still have hope for the future and have been able to rise above these challenges to go on and accomplish great things. Here are the stories of 3 of my former Lakeland students. Annie Ook remembers the day the soldiers came to her house. They pointed guns at her family and demanded money. When they had none to give, the soldiers vowed to come back the next week. Annie's parents snuck away in the night to flee the country, leaving Annie behind to stay with a 15-year-old cousin. A few months later, Annie remembers walking barefoot from the mountains of the Chin State through the jungles of Malaysia on her own journey to leave Burma. An adult carried her on piggyback so she would not cut her feet. She remembers hiding in the hull of a boat as they sailed across the Thailand Sea to Malaysia to a refugee camp there. For 2 years, she waited for a refugee visa so she could come to the United States and join her parents. A church in Louisville has been sponsoring refugees and provides them with housing, clothing, and employment opportunities. When Annie arrived, she spoke no English, but went straight to school anyway. Within a year, she was thriving in her new environment, excelling academically, and joining our elementary choir. Now, as a 7th grader, Ani works with the Chin Refugee Ministry and volunteers her time to translate for the many Chin who live in her apartment complex. She is a lead cantor at her church, a member of the middle school choir, and recently began playing violin. Her linguistic and academic achievements are amazing, going from a destitute refugee to a very accomplished young lady. Alondra was born in a small rural community in Mexico. This year, her senior year, she has earned a $36,000 scholarship to a business school. How did she make such a remarkable journey? She said she had good grades, even in elementary. Now, she has been accepted by the DREAM Act. She has a 2-year student visa that is required to work to keep it. I asked Alondra, why do you think you were able to achieve so high, even from the beginning? She said, I worked very hard. When I came to the United States, I was already in 4th grade. It was really hard for me because I didn't know any English. Also, the education here is very different than in Mexico. You have to learn a lot faster, and it's more detailed here. There, you just had lectures. I was in a class of only 13 kids. Alondra's dad left to come to the U.S. when she was 6 to work. It was hard on her mom with 3 little girls. When their grandmother passed, they decided to move here to be with Dad. Now with 4 girls, Mom has gone back to Mexico to be a middle school teacher, so Alondra sees her mom only on school breaks. Alondra has become the mom to her 3 sisters, while Dad works long hours in construction. Sister Perla is just starting high school, and she has to help her with homework. Alondra is committed to personally making sure that Perla has better grades than even she did. She expects her to rise a level above her, and her younger sisters even higher. Says Alondra, I make them work really, really hard. I really push them. She has got to have a better GPA so she can go to a better college. Her mom has a college degree, but her dad never finished high school. He's made it clear he wants his daughters to do better, and he's been learning English from them. Alondra says, even today, English for me is really, really, really hard. It made taking the ACT and the SAT hard because they were time tests, and the vocabulary is so high. To study for it, I had to look up vocabulary and break them down to understand them, and then try to classify it to something in Spanish to help me remember. One big help has been being a part of the AVID program, Advance the Individual Determination, in 9th through 12th grade. They helped me with study skills like taking notes, and also with college readiness in my junior and senior years. In order to keep her student visa, she must work on the weekends. During the week, she is a mentor to several elementary and middle schools in our feeder pattern, including Lakeland. This is sponsored through our high school student council. As Alondra says, you want to be a good example. You want to be a leader. I have one boy who lost his mother, and I go to see him every Wednesday. He always asks me, when are you going to come back? I always have to promise him I will come back. Alondra only has 1 class for her senior year, so she mentors both in the morning and in the afternoon at 7 different schools. She already has 37 credits, even though she needs only 26 to graduate. Not surprisingly, she's also in the National Honor Society. Alondra has friends who have dropped out of high school. She says that many of them never had anyone to tell them, hey, you've got to go to school. You've got to do better. She says that when some of them start part-time jobs at 16, all they see is money. They think if they can work all day, they'll have more money to spend. They eventually realize they could have had so much more if they'd only stayed in school. Says Alondra, I work as hard as I do to be a good example for my sisters. I want to do my best for my parents and for all those teachers who helped me when I was struggling to show them. And I want to show them I made all my dreams come true. My teachers have always cared about me, giving me extra help with tutorials and taking extra time to explain when I didn't understand something. Now, I do the same thing for the students I mentor. I reached out to my former student, Deshantanea. She recently graduated early and had earned a full-ride scholarship to KU. Her nurse mom raised 3 children alone. Following is her response to my email asking her a few questions about her life in the last 12 years. Mrs. Dierschke, my experience at Lakeland was definitely different. Not a bad different, though. I participated in after-school clubs, joined the choir, and did as many outdoor activities as I possibly could. I guess you could say I was something of a tomboy. As far as teachers' learning styles, I cannot pinpoint an experience of teaching preference I did not enjoy. I like to believe that I was blessed with great teachers throughout my time at Lakeland, which made it a very enjoyable experience. Obstacles. I've had to face numerous things in the span of my lifetime that I wouldn't wish upon others. One of them involved a certain bully. I've always been a confident person, comfortable in her own skin. I know right from wrong and what is acceptable opposed to what is not. But when you go through an incident like public discrimination, it hurts you. For a while, I repressed the feelings of sadness and anger I had and became reserved within myself. Overcoming it was the difficult part because I wanted to be mad and stay mad. It was not until one day at recess I saw the same child publicly humiliating another little boy because of his skin color. Then I realized that hiding my feelings wouldn't help anything. I stood up, strolled over to the child and pushed him down, grabbed the other little boy's hand and went to play kickball. Naturally, I had a timeout for 10 minutes the next day because pushing other students isn't acceptable. But I feel as though I learned a valuable lesson at a young age. That kind of person made me realize that when someone says about you, doesn't make you who you are. It's how you present yourself that does. To whom or what do I credit for my success? God. Simple as that. If it was not for my Lord and Savior, I would never have been able to accomplish goals in my life thus far. My mother was really not an inspiration to me. She lived a simple life, and she never really understood why I wanted to act. She's a great mother, and I love her dearly. She's never really made me feel like my dreams were reachable. That's something I learned on my own, and was heightened by my supportive friends and adults. I've always wanted to act. It was never a second thought, and much more than an idea. From the time I was 5 years old, I knew what I would be one day. I understood that my dream would come with sacrifices, but I've always been very self-disciplined, with putting my priorities in the right order, and nothing or anyone could stop that. Even to this day, I believe that God and myself, with the support of my loved ones, I'll be able to do it, and for as long as I live, I'll forever believe in myself. As far as my future plans, I'll actually be leaving for California in 54 days to start my acting career. I was accepted at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts with a $20,000 scholarship per year. I'll be attending the school in Los Angeles, perusing my BFA in acting. I plan on partaking in every and all theatrical opportunities provided to me while in LA, and hopefully continuing to act once I graduate. However, I realize my desired profession is a difficult one to succeed in, so I have a backup plan. I want to teach. Acting is my entire life. It is my passion and life's work, so if I cannot do it at a professional level, I'd love to help other children who are just like me achieve their dreams as well. I want kids to understand that no dream is too small, and if you have the dedication and the right mindset, that you can do it. Besides, I love acting, so even if I'm not making $1 bazillion off of it, as long as I can still act, I'll be happy. The paycheck does not matter as much to me as the experience does. Acting always makes me happy, and I ultimately want to bless others with the same happiness I've had the pleasure of feeling throughout my life. I hope I was helpful to you and apologize for such a winded response. I guess I had more to say than I realized. Let me know if you need anything else. I'll be happy to assist you. Rock chalk, Shantanea Lee. I wrote that. Shantanea, thank you so much for answering me so quickly. It's amazing to read your story and your certain future success. I'm also sad to hear about your racially charged bullying. I hope this was just an isolated experience with that one boy, and that most children did not act in the same way. I'm proud of you for standing up for someone else. As a child, sometimes we don't realize that we have a voice. I'm glad you found yours. I have no doubt that you will achieve your dreams. In the first place, you are stubborn, so I no doubt that you will not take no for an answer very often. Your talent is obvious, and your effervescent personality is contagious. I went to high school and acted with Kristen Chenoweth. I was stung with the bug too. And now she's a world-famous Tony Award-winning actress, so I know that dreams do come true. I so very much appreciate that you took the time to write me back. You've always been special to me, and I prided myself I was one of the few people who got hugs from you in elementary. I'm also so very impressed with your profession of faith. I know it will keep you centered and on the right track. Please keep in touch with Ms. McKinney and me. We want to hear how you are doing in the big city. Remember to always stay true to who you are. And remember, there are a lot of people who love you and are rooting you on. Hugs, Angela Dierschke. Her last response, Mrs. Dierschke. Thank you for the encouragement. Please don't be alarmed about the incident I referred to in my response. It was a one-time thing I handled and moved past. I'm a better person for it. So in a way, it was a significant event. I would most definitely try my best to keep in touch, and thank you again. I'm glad I could be of help. P.S. I hugged you because I liked you a lot more than most teachers. You, Miss McKinney, and my second grade teacher, Mrs. Holmes, were probably the most influential women in my younger days. And that is saying a lot, because I'm usually a lot to handle. But you put up with me, and it was fun. So for that, I thank you. So what about my students today? I decided to interview a few of them to assure that we were still helping them look toward the future. So, what do you like best about science?
I like it when you have to explode stuff and stuff.
Like exploding?
And then when you put some metal on it, on a metal plate, it melts.
Video.
I like that. That's what I like about science.
And
I like the vibrations and stuff.
Vibrations. Okay. What do you see yourself doing when you grow up?
Being a scientist.
Being a scientist? Cool. What are you interested in? What kind of science?
Like every science, any science.
Any science? Fantastic. You're awesome. So, what do you like about science?
Everything.
What do you think makes a good science student?
Studying and listening to teachers.
Good. And you've been very successful academically, right? And so, what do you credit that for? Do you spend a lot of time working at home?
A little.
A little? Do your mom and dad talk to you about going to college?
Yeah.
Yes. Do you want to go to college? Awesome. What would you like to do when you grow up?
Become a scientist or a teacher.
Okay, so you're a successful science student, right?
Yes.
Yes. What do you credit to your success? How do you think, if you had to teach somebody else how to be a good science student, what would you say?
I would say never give up, like do your work really good, or like never forget work or homework that you have to do.
Okay. Are good grades important to your family?
Yes, good grades are important. Like it helped me become a better person in my life.
Okay. Do you want to go to college?
Yes.
Yes. And what would you like to be as a grown-up? What kind of career are you interested in?
I'm interested in engineering.
Engineering. Oh, that is so cool. So, do you know where you want to go to college?
I'm not really sure yet.
Not sure. Well, you're only in elementary, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is everyone in your family as smart as you are?
Not, I don't really know.
When I look at those precious faces, I am reminded of what an awesome responsibility I have. This quote sums it up. Rather than seeing you as a mere product of random mutation, I see you as a unique individual endowed by his creator, not just with a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but with a purpose. Each one of you has unique and special talents, and along with that, a distinct purpose in life that makes you not just unique, but irreplaceable.